Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for...
It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy's Sports Ticket, 1430 AM and 99.5 HD2.
What's going on? It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket, and I am juiced up, ready to go today. So much going on. The Indiana Pacers did not trade away any of their draft picks like I thought that they would last night. Instead, they drafted 3 players. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk Filipowski. Kyle Filipowski. We're going to talk about him. He was drafted 32nd overall by the Jazz. Parker Fleming came on my show yesterday, suggested the idea of the Pacers trading up to draft him. Then this crazy story about him broke. We're going to get into that. Lakers take Bronny James. The Fever lost last night. Big game coming up on Sunday. Funless Fridays happening today. Little bit of a twist on that. So can't wait to get into that one. And then the debate happened last night, and I have to talk about the golf match because we need it. I need a Joe Biden versus Donald Trump golf match. We're going to get into that at some point today as well. But we're going to start with the Indiana Pacers because this is a sports show, and we're going to lead with the sports. So the Pacers take Johnny Furphy out of Kansas at pick number 35, Tristan Newton out of UConn at 49, and Enrique Freeman at 50. So let's start with Johnny Furphy, a player that people are excited about, a player that some of these draft experts had a first-round grade on. Johnny Furphy is a 19-year-old, 6'8" wing out of Kansas. Got to be honest. Dan asked me yesterday on his show at around 12:20. He asked me, if I'd be cool if the Pacers traded up to draft Johnny Furphy. And I was like, no, I don't. I understand the draw to Johnny Furphy and why people would want to draft him, but he's just not a guy for me. And when I got on Twitter, because I am very much online, I've just accepted it. I used to think that, I'm not online that much. And then every Sunday at 9 a.m. when I'm sitting in church, I get that notification on my phone where it's like, hey, Jonathan, you were on your phone for an average of 4 hours a day this week. And I'm like, maybe I'm online a little bit more than what I realized. But yesterday, when I got on Twitter after the pick, all of the draft heads, everybody was going crazy. They were so excited that the Pacers drafted him. I'm not. I felt like there were better options available. For example, Cameron Christie was still on the board. Keyshawn Johnson was still on the board. Those were 2 guys that I would have rathered have seen the Pacers take. But look, the Pacers took Johnny Furphy, and Kevin Pritchard has given us no reason whatsoever to doubt him as of late. He's done an excellent job rebuilding this Pacers roster. And so, I'm not going to push back too much on the pick because once again, that's not who I would have taken. And here's the thing that I think, in addition to not only has Kevin Pritchard done a good job rebuilding this roster, but he's done a good job these past couple of years of taking guys in the second round who can contribute to the Pacers. Just look at Ben Shepherd and Andrew Nembhard. Okay, they were both second-round picks these 2 previous years that contributed in major ways to the Pacers' Eastern Conference Finals run. Kevin Pritchard has done a good job of finding guys that can, play in a playoff rotation in the second round. And that's impressive. A lot of general managers can't really seem to do that. But with that being said, Johnny Furphy is a big wing. He's 6'8". He's from Australia. Okay, he's supposed to be a great shooter. That is what everyone has continuously told me about Furphy. Okay, it's like, oh, this dude's a great shooter. That's what he does. And I'm like, is he? Is that what he does? He only shot 35% from 3 last year. It's not like he's out here shooting 42%. With that being said, he's only 19. And I do think that is the upside in this pick of we've got this, 19-year-old. He can clearly shoot it a little bit. He's pretty athletic, finishes around the rim pretty well. If we take him here at 35, this may not be a guy who can step in and contribute immediately. Maybe he's on a 2-way contract, and, by the time he's 21, he's actually ready to help us win at the NBA level. This seems like more of a long-term draft pick, which is fine. All right, focusing in on who he is though. He's supposed to be he's decently athletic. I remember watching him play at Kansas. Seems like he has some good touch around the rim. He finished under the basket well this year, and he's athletic enough to play above the rim, especially on fast breaks. My concern about Furphy is that he's just not a very good defender. Okay, like I vividly remember when they played Baylor later in the year, and Baylor just took turns going at Johnny Furphy. He cannot guard the ball as of right now. Once again, he's only 19. He's going to get better. Yada 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 yada. All those things. But as of right now, like the Pacers just made a run to the Eastern Conference Finals, and the second round is usually where you can find players that can contribute immediately, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And Johnny Furphy is not that guy. Once again, the Baylor just went at him over and over and over again in that game later in the year to a point where Bill Self had to pull him out of the game early in the second half, and he didn't put him back in. Okay, Johnny Furphy's a guy who played like 35 minutes a night at Kansas. He only played 24 minutes in that game. Okay, they pulled him, and they couldn't put him back in because he was a liability on the defensive side of the ball. Okay, I understand that he's 19. I understand he's going to develop and all those things. I understand that he's 6'8". But like once again, the Pacers made the Eastern Conference Finals last year. Telling me there wasn't a single player on the board at that point that couldn't have helped the Pacers immediately. I feel like there was. But once again, Kevin Pritchard has done an excellent job rebuilding this roster. And so I'm not going to question him too much. Maybe Tristan Newton is the guy that they drafted with the idea of this guy can come in and help us immediately. He's 23. He's 6'3". He's a guard out of UConn. Older players tend to be able to contribute earlier. So maybe Tristan Newton is the guy that the Pacers expect to fill some sort of role immediately. He feels a bit like Andrew Nembhard in terms of just like tough guard. He can defend. He checks a lot of boxes. The issue with him is he's just not a very good shooter. He only shot 32% from three last year. Now, he did shoot 80% from the free throw line, which means like projection-wise, like this is a guy who, can potentially turn into a decent shooter. We'll see. But that is something that these NBA GMs look at. They're like, how's the touch? Can he make free throws? Okay, he can make free throws. The shot looks good. Maybe he'll turn into a good shooter. Now, the upside with Tristan Newton and why I think there's a decent chance that he gets to play next year is that he can get in a stance and the dude can defend. Okay, that is what he did so well at UConn. He is a great defender. And that is something he should be able to do for the Pacers right away. And that is what the Pacers desperately need. Okay, especially with Halliburton on the floor. Like I think we all know, Tyrese Halliburton, not exactly a good defender. So it's nice having, another guard alongside him who can defend the opposing team's best backcourt player. Okay, that's why it's nice seeing T.J. McConnell play. It's why it's nice seeing Andrew Nembhard play. And Tristan Newton's, he's 6'3" without shoes on. You put him in shoes, he's probably 6'4", 6'5". Like, the guy can really defend. And that's what the Pacers need. And Tristan Newton checks that box. The issue is he's a guard. And I think it's just going to be difficult for him to find time on the floor with Halliburton, Nembhard, and McConnell getting the bulk of those minutes. With that being said, I don't think that teams draft 23-year-olds with the idea of developing them for the future. Because look, if you draft a 23-year-old, they are likely going to play immediately because they're older, they're better developed, their bodies are just more NBA ready than 19-year-olds like Johnny Furphy. So I'm interested to see what they end up doing with Tristan Newton. I think they find a way to get him on the floor quickly, but we'll end up seeing. Another older player that the Pacers took yesterday was Enrique Freeman out of Akron. I'm excited for this guy. I am. Former MAC Player of the Year. He's 24 years old. He is a 6'7" forward, once again coming out of Akron. He has one of the best stories in the NBA draft. Like, this is a guy that somebody around here will undoubtedly write some sort of feature article on, especially if he makes the roster. He went to Akron without any intent of playing basketball. And then he was like, you know what? Let me go try out. Let me show up. Let me try out for the team. Maybe I'll make it. If I make it, it'll be good. We can have a great time. So he shows up to walk on tryouts at Akron, and he makes the team. And from there, he just develops into an NBA prospect. He's got a pretty well-rounded game. Akron ran a lot of stuff through him. If you remember the NCAA tournament, they were a 14 seed, and he was their guy. He posted up a pretty decent amount. He screened a lot. He shot 37% from three, and he rebounded the crap out of the ball. Averaged 19 points and 13 rebounds a game. Like, he is clearly a talented and skilled player on the offensive end. Now, The shooting stuff is a little misleading. Like, even though he shot 37% from three, he only took 54 threes. So, like, around the basket, mid-range, passing, like, I think he checks a lot of the boxes. But when it comes to the shooting, it's like, yes, he shot 37%, but he didn't take a ton of threes. So we'll see what that ends up looking like. I'm excited for the defensive end of the floor because when I think big, long wing that can defend, and Enrique Freeman checks all the boxes when it comes to that. He's 6'7" with a 7'2" wingspan. That is tall and that is long. And that's part of why he rebounded so well. Like 13 rebounds a game because he's got a 7'2" wingspan. And that length obviously helps with the rebounding. He's mobile. He played a lot of small ball center at Akron. And so, like, he can defend bigger guys. Like, if you look at him, he's pretty stout. Like, the dude clearly lifts, you know? And so, like, that allows him to defend some bigger guys along with the length. And what's the whole point of playing small ball? It's the ability to switch everything. And so because of that, he's had to guard smaller guys as well when they're switching screens and doing all those things that they do at Akron. So he's versatile on the defensive end, which is something that the Pacers desperately need. Okay, they need a guy who is versatile on the defensive end, especially if Jarris Walker doesn't end up being the guy that everyone thinks he's going to be and hopes that he will be. So, and here's my favorite thing about Enrique. He has to be hyper competitive and he has to absolutely love basketball. Okay, there's no doubt in my name, no doubt whatsoever. Because you don't go to Akron and decide to try to walk on if you don't love basketball and if you aren't competitive. Okay, now if he went to, Duke or Kentucky and tried to walk on, to me that'd be a little bit different because some guys just want to say that they play basketball at Kentucky. Some guys just want the gear that comes with playing at Kentucky or Duke or wherever. And so the fact that he was like, I'm going to go walk on it, Akron, like that, just I think it speaks volumes of like this dude's competitive and this guy really loves basketball because guys that were just kind of meh about basketball aren't going to try to walk on at Akron. It's just not going to happen. And obviously, more stuff happened in the state of Indiana when it comes to basketball. The Indiana Fever went on the road last night to take on the Seattle Storm. They lost 77-89, just couldn't struggle, didn't defend very well. They definitely didn't defend Julie Lloyd at all. She had 34 points, was 10 of 15 from the floor. The Storm had 3 players score 15 points or more, and that is usually what the Indiana Pacers sound like. Like usually, you're watching and it's like, geez, like Caitlin Clark's got it going and Aaliyah Boston's got it going and Kelsey Mitchell has it going. And they really didn't. Like Caitlin Clark only took 9 shots. She finished with 15 points. Like I wish she was closer to like 15 shots. But, like when teams are doubling Caitlin Clark as much as they are, it's hard for her to get shots up. So I don't want to sit here and be like, oh, Caitlin Clark has to be more aggressive because like it's hard to be aggressive when once again you've got several people out there like doubling you and trying to make sure that you don't get shots up. And so, she had, a fine game, 7 assists, 6 turnovers. Like that number still has to come down. Aaliyah Boston was terrible though. No other way around it. She was awful. Nothing short of that. Like 5 of 16 from the field. I'm sitting there, I'm watching the game and she's blowing layups and it was bad. It was ugly. Now, to her credit, she did rebound well. She did pull down 14 rebounds, but look, if you take 16 shots and you only score 11 points, like you have to be better than that. And she only took 2 free throws. So it wasn't like, she's like finishing through contact. Like she's just blowing layups. And that can't really, like that's unacceptable. That cannot happen. Okay? Like if you get the ball literally at the bucket, you have to finish in some way, shape, or form. And Aaliyah Boston, she just didn't do that last night. And if she does, the game's probably a little bit different. The Fever still have to defend better. You can't give up 89 points in a 40-minute game and expect to win. You can't. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Got a loaded show for you today. My guy Matt is going to join me for Funless Friday. We're throwing a slight little twist on it, and I can't wait. It's one of my favorite ideas. I sent a tweet out about it last night. I can't wait. I'm excited. Okay, it kind of, we're getting into some IU history with it a little bit. That's kind of what inspired the segment. So that is coming up at 11. And I have to talk about the biggest story coming out of the NBA draft. Okay. The biggest story, surprisingly, coming out of the NBA draft is not Bronny James. It's someone else. And I cannot wait to cover it. That's coming up here in 4 minutes.
Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM and 99.5 HD2.
What's going on? The Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. Thanks for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, maybe that's through the Indy Sports Ticket app. You can download that on the App Store or the Google Play Store. Maybe you're watching on YouTube. Indy's Sports Ticket, head over there and subscribe. Can't wait for, we're slowly building. Okay, it's a slow grind, so head over to the YouTube, subscribe, join the live chat. It's awesome. Great people in the live chat. It's always fun. We always have a great time doing that. Or if you just want to listen to the sound of my voice, you can head over to Twitter. Follow us at Ticket1430, and you can watch the live stream there as well. Now, the whole 2-day NBA draft thing, I think, is dumb. I don't mind the experiment, but next year, let's just go back to a 1-day draft. Okay, it wasn't like I didn't care for day 2. Like, just give me all the picks last night and let me air it out, yesterday. That would have been really nice. But no, the NBA has to try to be like the NFL and do this whole multiple day thing. We don't need that. We don't need it. Okay, like the atmosphere during day 2 of the draft wasn't great. People didn't seem super engaged. Like, pass on that. I don't need it. I don't want it. Do all 60 picks in 1 day. That would be much, much better. Also, if you're going to do round 2 on a separate day, maybe don't put it at 4 o'clock. Okay, maybe don't put it at 4 o'clock when, look, let's be honest, Bronny James is the most highly anticipated second-round draft pick we have ever seen. Why in the world are you putting that thing on at 4? Like, put it on at 6. Okay? Like at least give people an opportunity to watch it. Okay? Like put on at, 6, put it on at 7. Honestly, if you're going to put any round of the draft on at 8 o'clock, it should be round 2 because the time to pick is shorter. So it just goes by faster. Like, why? Like, I don't know. I don't get it. That's not the point. My point is, I would have thought coming out of day 2 of the NBA draft, I would have thought that the main story, the main thing that I would be talking about today is nepotism. I thought I'd be talking about Bronny James and how the only reason why he got drafted is because of LeBron. And even though, like, we all knew that this was coming, some people are still highly upset about it. And, that's fine. Like, you're allowed to be upset about things. That's not what bothers me. But what's crazy is that is not the biggest story after day 2 of the NBA draft. The biggest story is Kyle Filipowski. And this story is absolutely wild. I couldn't believe it. First of all, Parker Fleming came on yesterday, and he suggested the Pacers trading up at the start of the second round to grab Kyle Filipowski because this was a guy who was supposed to go in the first round, but he fell all the way to the second round, and everyone's kind of wondering why. Well, here's why. There is a story going around about Kyle Filipowski out of Duke, and this story is absolutely nuts. Kyle Filipowski's girlfriend is 7 years older than he is, which, doesn't bother me a ton. Like, is it a little weird? Sure. But, not for me. I'm not going to date a woman that's 7 years older than me. Part of that is because I'm married. But even like when I was 18, like I probably wouldn't have dated a 25-year-old. I don't know. Just me, I guess. No idea. And so, like, that alone is weird. And then you find out that Kyle Filipowski's girlfriend used to be his babysitter. That's weird. That's weird. I don't like that. Yes, his girlfriend was his babysitter many, many moons ago. And then you find out via Twitter from Kyle Filipowski's brother and mother that apparently this girlfriend of Kyle Filipowski forced Kyle to send them an email cutting them off. Okay, this happened 2 years ago. Kyle Filipowski heads off to Duke, sends his parents an email and his brother, and it's basically a goodbye letter. That is what Kyle's brother said via Twitter. He said, quote, he sent them an email and everything, comma, basically a goodbye letter, which is insane. All because of his girlfriend. His Kyle Filipowski's girlfriend convinced him to cut his entire family off. The story only gets crazier. Now, there are multiple parts of the story being discussed. I don't know what's true and what's not. Okay, like the rumor mill is just pumping, or it was pumping yesterday. So there's a part of the rumor that says that apparently Kyle Filipowski's girlfriend could be his cousin, okay, which kind of makes sense considering she did graduate from the University of Alabama. So maybe, I don't know, that seems within the realm of possibilities given where she went to school. And then there's another part of the story that speaks to apparently like his girlfriend is Mormon and she's like groomed him and now like he's becoming a Mormon, which is kind of perfect because the Utah Jazz just drafted him. It's really, really weird. And so I'm sitting there and I'm reading through all this stuff. Like I'm deep in threads on Twitter, trying to figure out what's true, what's not. I'm like Googling stuff, trying to figure things out. Jonathan Giovanni said that this was part of why Kyle Filipowski fell in the draft. Like in these NBA GMs and people, they're like, this is weird. Like there's a lot of drama around this. I don't really want to bring that into our locker room. And as I'm sitting there and I'm reading this stuff, I'm like, why? Like, how haven't I heard of this sooner? Like, why didn't this come out when he was at Duke? Like, why didn't this come out when he decided to go back to Duke? Like this has obviously been happening for a long time. There are apparently photos on Instagram of Kyle Filipowski bringing her to prom. So she's like 25 years old going to a high school prom, which is weird, to be fair. And I mean, the whole thing is pretty nuts. And sitting there, I'm working through all this, and I'm like, you know what? This story reminds me of Laramie Tunsil in the Bong video from several years ago. Okay, if you don't remember that, Laramie Tunsil was a highly touted offensive tackle coming out of Ole Miss. Okay, and like he's set to be like potentially the number one overall pick. Like he was that good of an offensive tackle. The Miami Dolphins ended up drafting him at 13th, and they drafted like he fell, 13 spots because the day of the draft, someone releases this video of Laramie Tunsil with a bong on, and he's smoking, and he takes the bong off, and it's like his face. This video gets leaked, and because of that, he falls in the draft. And like this Filipowski story came out on draft day, and just like how the Laramie Tunsil video led him from potentially being the number one overall pick to being, the 13th overall pick, which isn't, the end of the world. Like the same thing happened here with Filipowski. Like he was supposed to be a first round pick. This was a guy who was supposed to be drafted probably in the late teens, early 20s. And he falls all the way to the second round. And I think the concerning thing about that is I remember when the Tunsil thing happened, I was like, there are people in his life that do not want him to succeed. And that is concerning. And this is the exact same thing with Filipowski. You can't tell me that his family doesn't have animosity towards him and his girlfriend for cutting them off. The mom went on Twitter yesterday and was like, the only reason why she's dating him is because she wants a ring and she wants the NBA money. And like, she's getting that, and so like, it is a crazy story. And I do not blame teams at all for passing on Kyle Filipowski. The whole situation shows bad judgment. Kyle Filipowski clearly lacks good judgment. If he can't figure out that cutting his entire family off for a girl that used to be his babysitter isn't a good idea, then like how can he read a pick and roll? How does he know what a good pass is? Like just there's poor judgment there. And teams shouldn't want to draft players that have poor judgments. And more importantly, they shouldn't want to draft players that have drama swirling around them, especially family drama, because family drama is never pretty. Okay, it's not. It always gets ugly. Someone's feelings always get hurt. It's not fun. That's why there are people out there who resent going home for Thanksgiving, because it's like I know I'm going to sit down and I know my uncle is going to bring this thing up from 7 years ago, and then my dad's going to get mad, and that's going to make my mom upset. And then the next thing you know, no one's happy on Thanksgiving. Okay, like family drama is not fun. And, like it messes with people, and it has a pretty decent impact on the way that on their mood and just the way that they go about things. So I do not blame teams at all for passing on Kyle Filipowski. Okay, and I also do not blame the Lakers at all for taking Bronny James with the 55th overall pick. I mean, the whole thing is, not surprising. And look, Dan and I, I said this on his show yesterday. If Thanasis Antetokounmpo can sit at the end of the Milwaukee Bucks bench for 6 years and no one bat an eye, then Bronny James can play for the Lakers. Okay? Right? The only reason why Thanasis Antetokounmpo is on the Bucks roster is because he is Giannis's brother. Okay, so I have no issue whatsoever with Bronny James being selected by the Lakers. Okay, if J.R. Smith can get his brother, Chris Smith, signed by the Knicks. Chris Smith played a total of, I believe, 2 minutes in his NBA career. Okay, if J.R. Smith can get Chris Smith signed by the Knicks, then Bronny James can be drafted because LeBron James is his dad. Okay, especially since this is one of the worst drafts we have ever seen. Okay, one of the worst drafts we have ever seen. Let's be honest here. Most guys selected in the second round they don't even make an NBA roster. They go, they play in the summer league, and then they never make a team. But players that get picked after pick 50, oh my gosh, the survival rate of those guys is like 0. Now, there are exceptions to that rule. For example, Manu Ginobili was the 57th pick. He had a pretty good career down there in San Antonio. Kyle Korver was like the 53rd pick. Fred Hoiberg, drafted by the Pacers. Like, he played in the league for 10 years as a shooter. He was like the 54th pick, somewhere in there, right? So the vast majority, though, of these late second round picks don't even make an NBA roster. So, there should be no issue with the Lakers taking Bronny James, especially since, he's likely going to spend most of his time in the G League, and that's where he should be. And in all seriousness, when we talk about guys being drafted late and being given the benefit of the doubt, guys that are sons of NBA players tend to just have a little bit more success, especially early, right? Because they've grown up around it. I think one of the most exciting things that happened early in the draft was the Kings took Devin Carter out of Providence, and I love his game, and he's very crafty. You sit there and you're like, okay, Devin Carter undoubtedly played one-on-one against his dad. And so for his entire life, or for a lot of his childhood, he's in the yard trying to figure out, how do I score on this guy that's in the NBA? You can usually see that. And these sons of former NBA players, they just seem to understand and grasp things a little bit quicker because they've grown up around it. And look, you can say whatever you want about LeBron James, but I guarantee you that he's a great coach. I guarantee you that he's teaching Bronny James how things work. And because of that, he's going to show up with an advantage over guys that haven't played in the league before. And the other thing is, I said this on Dan's show yesterday too. You can make excuses for Bronny James as to why he did not succeed at USC. It's oh, the kid almost died. Okay, he didn't get an off season. All right, and then, he shows up and, he should be a point guard, but USC had Isaiah Collier, who's the number 1 ranked high school recruit in the country. If Bronny's supposed to be a point guard, and he's not getting to play point guard, then, how does that work, It's you can make all these excuses, obviously going back to the heart attack and not having an off season and just not having an opportunity to get ready for the season ahead. So I have no issue whatsoever with the Lakers taking, this, 19-year-old who's coming off of a heart attack and clearly has the genes of a great basketball player. So no issue with the Lakers taking Bronny James. No issue with teams passing on Kyle Filipowski because there's just a lot of smoke there. And where there's smoke, there's fire. No one wants to bring unnecessary drama into their locker room. And that is kind of what Kyle Filipowski is. Yeah, sure, he's talented. He's a good player. But there's clearly a lot of issues there. And I don't blame NBA GMs for not wanting to deal with that. Speaking of drama, more drama coming our way in the WNBA on Sunday. The Fever. This is the game I've been looking forward to the most for Caitlin Clark in her rookie season. Sunday, it's at 3:30. It's appointment television for me. I'm going to tell you why it should be appointment television for you when we come back here in about 4 minutes.
The best takes, stories, and entertainment. It's The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM and 99.5 HD2.
What's going on? The Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. Thanks for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, I truly do appreciate it. You can listen on the Indy Sports Ticket app. You can watch on the Indy Sports Ticket YouTube page. Slow grind. We're slowly building. Head over there, subscribe. It's a great time, especially in the chat, and or you just watch on Twitter at Ticket1430. We're live streaming there as well. Sunday, I cannot wait. Since the moment the Indiana Fever drafted Caitlin Clark, I have circled this game on my calendar. I've cleared it. This is appointment television. Everyone has been excited and intrigued by and tuned in to watch Caitlin Clark play against Angel Reese, okay? All 3 times, people have been locked and loaded, like we're tuning in. We are watching this game. Those games have been great. There's been a lot of drama, a lot of pettiness, a lot of talking points coming out of those games. But I think this game on Sunday may breed even more pettiness and more talking points. And I cannot wait. Sunday, 3:30, appointment television. The Indiana Fever take on the Phoenix Mercury. It's like, Jonathan, why does that matter? Why do I care that the Phoenix Mercury are playing against the Indiana Fever? Because that is who Diana Taurasi plays for. And if you don't remember, it is clear as day that Diana Taurasi does not like Caitlin Clark, doesn't like her at all. Okay? Like, she doesn't think, Taurasi doesn't think that Caitlin Clark is as good as she is. But don't be petty. Okay? The pettiness of the WNBA has been pretty clear this year. We've moved away from it a little bit, right? Like, it's gotten better. I feel like I'm talking more basketball-related stuff with Caitlin Clark in the WNBA. But I have a feeling that this game on Sunday might bring it back up. And if you don't know what I'm referring to or why I'm excited about this, here is Diana Taurasi before Caitlin Clark even got drafted, talking about what it's going to be like for her in the WNBA.
Look, SVP, reality is coming.
Okay.
There's levels to this thing, and that's just life. We all went through it.
Of course.
And you see it on the NBA side, and you're going to see it on this side, where, you look superhuman playing against 18-year-olds, but you're going to come with some grown women that have been playing professional basketball for a long time. Not saying that it's not going to translate, because when you're great at what you do, you're just going to get better. But there is going to be a transition period where you're going to have to give yourself some grace as a rookie. And, it might take a little bit longer for some people.
That comment there at the end, that was Diana Taurasi way back after Caitlin Clark lost the national title game to South Carolina. I just, it sounds, fine or whatever, it takes some time, the adjustment period, that's going to be a thing. And Diana Taurasi was 100% right. I feel like Caitlin Clark has kind of already gone through that. But the little thing there at the end, saying that it's going to take longer for some players than others, like that, felt slightly directed towards Caitlin Clark. It may not have been. That's just kind of what it feels like. And look, what Diana Taurasi said there has some merit. Like, it's happened. Caitlin Clark has had some games, that weren't great, especially early in the season. Okay. Like, she's still continuing to struggle with turnovers. She had 6 last night. Like, that at some point has to get better. But after 10 games, Caitlin Clark has become a much more consistent player. Okay. Like, I feel like every night I can sit down. I'm like, okay, Caitlin Clark is going to get 15, 5, and 5. That is just kind of what tends to keep on happening. And so, so it's interesting. And I'm ready for this game. Caitlin Clark is far and away the best rookie in the WNBA, despite being defended like she is one of the best players in the league. And she is one of the best players in the WNBA. Okay, she started shooting the ball better. She was like 3 of 7 from 3 last night. Her teammates are starting to learn that they always have to be ready for a pass, because Caitlin Clark is already one of the best passers in the WNBA. She rebounds well for her size. I mean, she's contributing in every single area. Like, she's 15th in the WNBA in points per game. She's 4th in assists per game. She's 20th in rebounds per game. She's 15th in steals per game, and she's 16th in blocks. Like, she is once again contributing in every phase of the game. Like, the minutes where she's on the floor versus, the 2 or 3 minutes a night where she's not playing. Like, there's an astronomically sized difference between how the Fever look when she is on the floor versus when she isn't. Like, she is already one of the best players in the WNBA. And Diana Taurasi was asked yesterday if she was looking forward to playing against Caitlin Clark for the first time on Sunday. And her response is very telling.
Your thoughts going into facing Caitlin Clark for the first time on Sunday?
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun. That's all we get. And if you see the actual video, she's like rolling her eyes. She won't look at the guy who asked the question. She is not interested in talking about Caitlin Clark at all. All she could say is that, quote, it'll be fun, end quote. Such crap. Like, come on. Don't be petty. Don't be petty, Diana. Okay, like, I wasn't expecting her to wax poetic for 15 minutes about Caitlin Clark because they are competitors. Okay, and like, that is, I think, the most important thing that we have to remember here. Like, Diana Taurasi is kind of like the LeBron James of the WNBA. Like, I think she's like 42. She's older. She's been in the league for a long time. She's had a lot of success. She's playing well again this year. Not as well as Caitlin Clark, but, we could talk about that at another time. So, like, they are competitors. And I'm sure there's a part of Taurasi that is annoyed of like, hey, I've been doing this for a long time and nobody cared when I was at the top of my game. Now this 22-year-old girl shows up and we're like, oh my gosh, can't wait to watch the WNBA tonight. Like, I'm sure there's definitely a part of Taurasi that is jealous. At the same time, though, like, you can't let your jealousy show. You can't. Okay, because like, one of the things that I love about NBA players is that their jealousy never shows. Like, whenever LeBron is asked about Wembanyama or Paulo or Zion, he says nice things. Now, he doesn't, talk for 10 minutes about how great they are, but he's like, yeah, like, I like, the way that Wemby can shoot the ball at that size and the way he can handle it. Like, he's a good player. He's having some success as a rookie, and that's hard to do. Like, there was some sort of compliment in there. But Diana Taurasi, though, she's like, nah, I'm cool. Like, I don't understand why Diana Taurasi couldn't have just said something along the lines of, hey, like, she's one of the best rookies in the WNBA this year. Like, I'm glad that she's bringing a ton of new viewers to our game. If she had said something like that, followed by, it should be fun, then that would have sufficed. And this wouldn't be a story and people wouldn't be talking about it. But no, she couldn't do it. There is a lack of mutual respect in the WNBA. Meanwhile, in the NBA, there is plenty of mutual respect. Okay, because every NBA player knows and understands how hard it is to not only make it in the league, but when you're the number one overall pick especially, there's all this added pressure. And you would think that that's something that Diana Taurasi would understand, but then you have to think back and realize, oh, wait, no one's watched the league. No one's watched Diana Taurasi play since she got into the WNBA. So she doesn't understand. And I can't wait. I think both players are going to be absolutely juiced up for Sunday. I know that Caitlin Clark isn't online a lot. I know that, she smartly, stays off the internet, and that's what she should do, especially just, the way that her name just kind of gets floated out in every single type of situation. But it's interesting. I am very intrigued to kind of see how this develops. I'm ready for Sunday. I hope the Fever win by like 20. I hope they blow them out. And then I want to see what Diana Taurasi has to say afterwards. Either way, it's going to be great. Okay, because the Mercury they're a pretty average team. Like, they're not one of the 4 best teams in the league, but at the same time, like, they're not in the bottom either. Like they're going to make the playoffs. As of right now, they are 6th in the WNBA. They're right at 500. They're 8-8. They have good players outside of Diana Taurasi. Obviously, like, this is the team that Brittany Griner plays for as well. So, like, they've got good players on their team, and I am excited, intrigued, and ready to see how this game goes, because I think we're going to get a pretty similar treatment of how Caitlin Clark was treated earlier in the year. I think the Mercury are really going to look to rough her up and kind of get after her a little bit. And, look, Caitlin Clark is highly competitive. She's not going to back down from anybody. And I cannot wait to see how that goes. Once again, that is appointment television for me. 3:30 on Sunday. I will be in front of that TV watching that game and how it unfolds. Something else that would be appointment TV, but will never, ever happen, is a Biden versus Trump golf tournament or golf match. I think it'd be incredible. In case you missed the debate last night, first of all, you didn't miss much. You saw two older people clearly up past their bedtime, but you did miss just this incredible moment with Biden and Trump talking about golf.
Take a look at what he is. Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. The reason I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. But by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest lie that he's a 6 handicap of all.
I was an 8 handicap.
Yeah.
8.
Never.
But I had, how many?
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
Okay, let's
not act like children.
President Trump, we're going.
It's so great for so many reasons. First of all, I love that Joe Biden is like, I will play you if you are willing to carry your own bag. Like, that is the funniest thing to me. Because mentally, like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, Joe, you can't carry your own bag 18 holes. There's no way. And so that part is hilarious. Oh my gosh. And then there's the part where, look, like Donald Trump, don't like Donald Trump, I don't care. There's at the end where he's like, let's not act like children. When, like, let's be honest, if anyone acts like a child, it's Donald Trump. And so, like, you've got that added element, but there's no way that Joe Biden could beat Donald Trump in a golf match. There's no way. I refuse to believe it. Even if his handicap is a 6, no way I'm taking him. Okay, because confidence is important. All right, and when it comes to stuff like this, give me the guy that is more confident. Okay, like in Donald Trump, like there's something to having confidence that just helps you play better. And Donald Trump's the most confident guy I think I may have ever seen. And I'm rolling with the confidence. I'm taking Trump to win by a lot. Okay, like he said, it wasn't in that clip, but if you watch the debate, there's a clip where he talks about how he's won like 2 club championships so far this year, and how like he doesn't even play in like the senior division, and so because of that, he has to drive the ball a long way, and that's where you get Biden chirping at him like, "Oh, I bet I could outdrive you." No way, I don't believe it. The whole thing's great, and my favorite thing about it is that the entire time beforehand and even after, it's just both guys trading off, being like, of Donald Trump being like, Joe Biden is the worst president we've had in the last 80 years. And then it's Joe Biden's turn. And he's like, no. Donald Trump is the worst president we've had in 80 years. And they're both insulting each other repeatedly about this very important job that they've both had to do. And they don't care. They're just kind of like, whatever. But it's like, you suck at golf. And they're like, what'd you say? No way. I would run you out of town. Okay, like that was the thing that got them fired up. Okay, like the whole thing, it was terrible. But yeah, give me Trump to win that that golf match pretty handily. Like I think the line would be set at like 8.5 strokes. Seriously, like Trump would be favored by at least 8.5 strokes, maybe more. Let me know on Twitter. What do you think? Let me know in the YouTube chat. If you had to set a line on who would win the Biden and Trump golf match, like what would it be? 5.5, 6.5? I'm going 8.5 in favor of Trump. If they have to carry their bags, I would say that Trump wins via forfeit from Biden because he can't carry his bags 18 holes. Like look, I've never walked and I will never walk when I play golf. I will undoubtedly always drive a cart. Okay. And I'm 24 years old. I'm in decent shape. Okay. If I wanted to carry my bag 18 holes, I probably could, but that sounds terrible. That is a long way to walk, especially if you're a guy like me who's going to shoot like 97. Okay. So I'm good on that. I don't want to walk up and down all those hills. Like, there's no way Joe could do it. I don't know if Donald could do it. To be more frank about it, like, that's a long way to ask anybody to walk. That's a lot of weight to carry on top of everything else. And so I just, no way. I don't think either one of them could do it in all honesty. So we'll see. Coming up, Funless Friday. I am so excited. I cannot wait for this. Okay, like this is one of my favorite ideas. It has to do with the NBA draft. We're going to go back in history a little bit as well. My guy Matt Murphy is actually going to join me for it because usually when I do these, these Fun List Friday, I kind of lay it out. I talk about everything on the list, and then we move on. We're going to draft. We're doing a Fun List Friday draft. So Matt and I will alternate drafting the thing that we're doing the list on. Can't wait. Should be so much fun. That is coming up here in 5 minutes. Can't wait to be joined by my guy, Matt Murphy. Stick around. Thanks for tuning in. Top of the hour, coming up 5 minutes. Funless Friday with my guy, Matt Murphy.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for
It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM and 99.5 HD2.
What's going on? It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Tickets. Hour number 2 underway with my favorite segment of the week. Dare I say it? It probably is. I love doing this segment. And I'm joined today by my guy, Matt Murphy, who I think I messed up the thing again where you're muted. Well, no, you're not.
I'm good.
Let's go.
What's up?
Look at me, man.
Happy
I'm on
Friday.
top of it today. Yes. Happy Friday. Before I tell the audience what we're doing, we had a discussion and during the last one, I have to ask you, I don't know if you watched the debate last night, but if you did, I'm assuming you saw the golf section of it.
Yeah, I did.
So if they were to play golf, what would you set the line at?
I'm gonna go Mr. Donald Trump. I'm gonna set the line. I'm gonna give him 10 shots. Biden needs 10 shots. Trump can play. Trump can play. Like he said, he's like legit a club champion. He can play.
2 times.
Biden,
He's won twice this year.
Dude, my favorite moment of that I've seen just go around is Biden's like, and he's just stumbled around. I mean, the dude was lost. If we're being honest, dude was lost in the couple clips I've heard. Like, he's just struggling to put sentences together. But either way, he starts his sentence. He's like, "Well, when I was vice president, got down to a 6 handicap," and then Donald Trump was like, "Oh, that's a lie." And he was like, "Yeah, it was an 8 handicap." So it's like he obviously was lying about the 6 because he didn't follow it up and said he was an 8.
I know your swing. The whole thing was funny.
It was good.
And I also want to ask you, as a big Pacers guy, what'd you think of the 3 picks from yesterday?
Loved it. I said Johnny Furphy I think what I would say, I was out with my family Wednesday. I was talking to my brother about it, and it was like, yeah, Furphy's going to be there. I could see them taking him just because it feels like Carlisle's not. I think they're just really selling into the idea of like, hey, we're just going to be a really, really good offensive team. We just really wanting Ryan Dunn from Virginia. He was off the board late in the first round. So, yeah, I'm good with Furphy. I really like the Tristan Newton pick. I think that dude he's a baller. Like, he can play. He can do it in a number of different ways. I really like that pick as well at 49.
The thing with Newton is, like, between Halliburton, Nimhard, and McConnell, like, where does he kind of break in? I'm excited about Enrique Freeman. 6'7", 7'2" wingspan. Played small ball center at Akron and, like, switched a lot of stuff. Like, he's really versatile defensively. The Furphy stuff is interesting just because, like, I don't think he plays right away. I think that they give him some time, which is, fine. Look, Pritchard has done a great job of finding talent in round 2 that can, like, contribute. Like, you think Ben Shepherd, Nimhard, both second-round picks. And so I said yesterday I would have rather them grab, like, Cam Christie, a guy who shot, 40% from 3 at Minnesota, has a little more defensive upside, I think, than Furphy does. But, look, I'm not going to question Pritchard because he's been on an absolute heater here.
And the other thing to keep in mind is Jarris Walker hardly played, and he was their the 8th overall pick. And so to think that a second rounder would get minutes, especially playing like a wing spot, it's unlikely. But and to the Newton point, I see what you're saying. I just think Newton can do so much more off ball as well. Like because he can do everything. He's a good shooter, good playmaker. He's not particularly small by any means. Like, I think he could get away with playing some 2, but he's in the same boat as Furphy. I don't think he gets minutes this year. But that type of player he's really good for like your summer league team.
No doubt. Yeah.
Definitely your G League team as well. Just to have a guy that can play, the 1 through 3, can shoot, can pass, can dribble, right? So I like both of those picks, and that last one you said too. I mean, they're all good. All good.
We'll see. I'm excited. I'm more excited though about Funless Friday. So my guy Matt is joining me because we're doing a draft. So usually, Matt, the way this works, I have to set up why we're doing this Funless Friday. Okay. So Reed Shepherd was the first American drafted this year.
Yeah.
Okay. Which got me thinking, when was the last time the first American drafted was a white guy? because Reed Sheppard, first American drafted this year, he's also white. Like, that doesn't happen every day. The answer is Kent Benson in 1977, who played for Coach Knight at IU, right? He was drafted by the Bucks, played in the league for 11 years, right? Best year came in the 80 to 81 season, average, like 15 and 7 a night. It's pretty good. And so I find myself going down this rabbit hole of reading these old, like, Kent Benson articles, and an old Sports Illustrated article described him as a, quote, rugged inside scorer, end quote. And that, to me, that is classic white guy compliment descriptor kind of thing. Yeah. And Reed Sheppard was called a, quote, he was called sneaky athletic during the ESPN broadcast. And those both, between rugged inside scorer and sneaky athlete, those are undoubtedly like top tier classic NBA white guy descriptors. So for today's Funless Friday, we're doing a draft of the best NBA white guy descriptors. Okay, so Matt, I will give you the first pick.
Wow.
Whatever you want to take first.
Wow, that is, I appreciate it. It's very kind as the host to defer the first overall pick. Really quick, is this a snake draft or is this a?
We're just going to go back and forth.
Okay, back and forth. Okay.
One.
All right. I'm going to go with, I feel like this one, it's good because it's used so much. And I feel like at any point in anyone's career that played basketball with our skin tone has been called this, even if it's not true. And I'm going to go with Scrappy at 1. I'm going to go with Scrappy at 1. I just think it's so, like, that's a can't miss pick. It's not a very high ceiling pick, but it's a can't miss pick. Like it's a classic. It's an absolute classic. So I'm going Scrappy with 1.
Scrappy's great. Scrappy is like, you play hard, but you're like smart and you do like the extra things that other guys don't realize. Yep. So I like that pick. I had that second on my big board. Okay. So number 1, I'm going to take sneaky athletic. Okay.
Yeah.
The only reason guys are called sneaky athletic is because they are white. Like Reed Sheppard gets called sneaky athletic, even though he tied for the highest max vertical at the combine at 42 inches. That is not sneaky.
Really?
That is, he has a 42-inch max vertical.
Wow.
I'm like, that's not sneaky. That is like, that's crazy explosiveness. That's what that is. And so I had to take that with my my first pick. So we go back to you now.
That's a great pick. It's a great pick. And I think maybe the reason why I didn't lean that way is because I've never been called any type of athletic my whole life. It's just he's not athletic at all. There's nothing sneaky. There's no athleticism either. I'm going to go with, and this is one that I was called back in the day. We're going to go with a heady or cerebral player, someone that always makes the right play. I love that head, like cerebral. I like that as a description. Again, always making the right play. You're never having to worry. Coach is never going to be worried with the ball in his hands that he's gonna make the wrong decision, right? That might mean, hey, maybe the coach might be worried for other reasons, but he would never be worried that he's going to make the wrong decision. Knows the offense well. Again, really just cerebral player.
Think any white point guard.
Yeah.
That's what they get labeled as.
Purdue, Steve Nash, right? What will be Reed Sheppard as well.
Exactly.
Cerebral, heady player.
It's like, hey, he averaged 7 turnovers a game in college, but really smart guy.
Cerebral, yeah.
Doing a Funless Friday draft with my guy Matt Murphy here. We're drafting our favorite white athlete descriptors. For my second pick, I'm going fundamentally sound. Yeah. So I think that checks the box for every guy. Every guy, like every white guy's jump shot, from America at least, they all look the exact same. Yeah. Okay? Like that's always the same. Also, when I think about fundamentals, like I have to think about Tim Duncan. I know he's from like the islands. He's not really white, but like fundamentals can carry you to being one of the 7 best basketball players ever, apparently. And so like, if I want to be described as anything, I want to be fundamentally sound, baby. Let's go with that.
That's right. That's a great pick it too. I've got a couple here because this is where it gets, we really could have seen those top 4 going. I figured those year 2, I figured wouldn't be on my, available for me at pick 3. So I'm going to go, I've got a couple here. I'm going to go with a little combo, more of a phrase, less of like just one word or 2 words.
Okay.
He's a lunch pail and a hard hat kind of guy. Lunch pail and a hard hat kind of guy. This guy, he's the first one in to the gym, and he's the last one out, right? This is your blue collar, gold swagger type of player, right? This is your Tyler Hansboroughs of the world,
I like it.
right? Lunch pail, hard hat. He's blue collar, right? Working hard. So that's why I love that, and I'm going with that at 3.
Rebounds at a great level. Those guys.
Yeah. Lunch pail.
I'm gonna go gym rat here.
Yeah.
Like this for me, like this is classic white guy that can shoot the ball.
Mhm.
You know, like Dalton Connect goes 17th. Like within the first sentence on that ESPN desk, this guy is a gym rat.
Yeah.
Okay. Especially if it's a white guy who can shoot, who's played in college for more than 2 years. Like that label, we're slapping it on there immediately. So gym rat, yeah, that's the one for me. With my third
That's a
pick.
good one. All right. At 4, I'm going to go with something we'll call it, somewhat intangible here. We're going to say great locker room guy.
Okay.
It feels like more of maybe a little bit of a college. You would get this a little bit more, certainly because NBA is a little bit more of, hey, they're all professionals. But, and even, high school and college, he's a great locker room guy, right? He's got all of the intangibles off the floor, great teammate, great vocal leader. And maybe, on the sidelines, he's encouraging his teammates. He's reminding players, hey, shots up, box out, all this, right? So just great locker room guy is my 4th pick.
That's a great pick. My guy Matt and I, we are drafting our favorite white guy descriptors for Funless Friday. You can veto this one if you want to. I want to go the classic white on white like comparison. Like every white point guard gets compared to like Steve Nash or Jason Kidd. Every new NFL wide receiver, if you're white, doesn't matter, how big, how fast you are, you're getting compared to Wes Welker, Julian Edelman, or Cooper Kupp. So does that work?
No, I'll accept it. Yeah, I think that's fine. It's not, because that's so real, right? It's not. It's a wing that can shoot. Oh, it's Larry Bird. Oh, it's a wing that, a center that can play. Hey, it's Bill Walton. It's Mikhail, whatever. Right? There's always going to be a comparison, right? Or no, even to take it even further, right? When you think of a big running back, right? Big white running back, I'm going Peyton Hillis, right? Oh, this guy's bowling ball. Peyton Hillis.
Or it's like this guy's not a running back, he's a fullback.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. So yeah, I'll take that, and I think that's a good play. Definitely a fringe that's on the line, right? But I'm a fair,
that's what I wanted to ask.
Fair competitor, and I respect the hustle. Yeah.
Okay.
Respect the hustle there. That's fair. Fair play.
Back to you.
Is this the last one?
Yeah, just
round out my starting 5 here. So I'm gonna go with one that I really enjoy. I think this one specifically is one where this is a guy that he has some flashes of like, wow, this guy can really play, right? It's not just the hard work. It's not just the intangibles. It's not just the cerebral. It's like, wow, this guy can really play. And he's a gamer, right? He's a gamer. This guy's going to have a little bit of bounce to him. He's going to have a little bit of, quickness to him. And he's a gamer, right? He's a guy that can do a little bit of everything. He's got a little extra maybe athleticism than some of these other descriptors that we're using, right? Okay. But this is kind of he is an all around. He is a cerebral player, but he's got a little bit of something to him. He's got a little bit of sauce to him, right? So he's a gamer. We're gonna go with that at 5.
I like it. That's good. That's really good. Joined by my guy Matt Murphy. I have the last pick here. We're drafting our favorite white guy descriptors, and I'm torn. There's 2 that I really like, and I don't know which way to go, but I think I'm gonna go with gritty, right? So which is a little bit different from scrappy. They definitely play in like the same realm, but for me, scrappy is like, like you play hard, but you're just like a little bit smarter, and you do some different things that guys don't realize. Yeah. When I think gritty, I think like Draymond Green, like a player who can change the game because of their physicality, like they bring a similar energy to like high motor guys, but they tend to be a little bit more physical, a little bit more chippy.
Yeah. So I think scrappy maybe is more of a word that you would use for like a guard or a wing that really gets up into people defensively, right? TJ McConnell picking people up full court, right? That feels scrappy as opposed gritty feels like more in the paint, right? More of like a forward / center because that it feels weird to say scrappy from those positions. So gritty, I think it's fair play. Fair
Yes.
play. Those are some good
Scrappy
lists.
guys are guards.
Yeah. Gritty
And
more and wing.
yeah,
Maybe bigger wings. Yeah.
you know, Crafty didn't make either one of our rosters, which is
No,
interesting.
it was on my list, but no, Crafty is to me that kind of fits under the kind of the cerebral side of things a little bit. So once I used that, I didn't want to go. You certainly could have, but yeah, that's probably the honorable mention. That's an honorable mention for sure.
It really is. Do you have any other honorable mentions? I've got one.
Yeah, I've got a couple here. He's got a lot of heart, right? A lot of heart. I've got, let's see, tough as nails. He's tough as nails. We've got, he's a winner. He's just a winner, right? Making winning plays. So those are my 3 honorable mentions.
Mine is here's a guy that doesn't try to do too much.
Yeah. Let the game come to him. Yeah, let the game come.
This is like saying someone is like intriguing of like, hey man, like how was that job interview? It's like, oh, it was intriguing, meaning like I'm not gonna hire this guy, but he's fine. He's whatever.
Yeah, he's got
so I had that. I had high motor as well, but I felt like that kind of like fell in with gritty and scrappy and those things. And did I have any other ones? I had grinder, but that's kind of like runs into the whole like gym rat thing,
I don't think that's allowed to be said on public airways anyway, like announcers during games. So it's probably good to stay away from that on the radio broadways too. The airways.
Probably so. Once again, Matt, let's run through our teams. We drafted our 5 favorite white athlete descriptors. So you went scrappy with the first pick. I went sneaky athletic with my first pick.
Yep.
And then what'd you go to after that? I didn't write this down.
Oh my gosh. All right, I got to go back through my list. I had the heady and cerebral player.
That's right.
Heady and
I
cerebral.
went fundamentally sound.
Yep.
Okay.
You went lunch pail, hard hat kind of guy.
That's right. And then I went gym rat.
Yep. Then I went great locker room guy. Good team.
That's right. And then I know I finished with gritty. What did I take before that? Gosh dang it. Sneaky, fundamentally, gym rat. I took gritty last.
All around, right? It was I don't know, dude. You're the one who picked. You just lost your draft pick.
I know. Jeez, I can't believe I didn't write that down. It's all good. It happens. But
and then I finished with he's a gamer. He's a gamer. That's what I closed with.
Good gamer. I like it. That's good. Great
really
draft.
Quick, really quick. How many of those have you been called in your career?
I've definitely been called scrappy.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm skilled enough to have ever been called crafty, but like this guy's scrappy. I remember like when I first moved up here, we would play basketball and you would make bets on how many offensive rebounds I would grab. That's scrappy. I would say that. Yeah, that's right. Always. And I would like to think that I've been called a high IQ guy. I don't know why, but that's, that definitely falls. When I was playing baseball, gym rat was definitely there. So definitely been called that as well. So those, what about you?
Yeah, I've got a lot on here as well. Not the athletic part, like I was saying. Great locker room guy, team captain, cerebral player for sure. I like to play make from the stretch 4 position. And a little bit of gamer in me, a little bit, not too much. A little bit of gamer, a little bit of play.
You've got a lot of gamer in you. I've played with you enough to know.
A little bit of gamer. And then I'm not really that scrappy or tough. I think
I don't know.
If fucking trash is scrappy, then maybe. But
I would say so. I would also. I've been called sneaky athletic like once or twice in my life. When I was a freshman in college, I grabbed the rim with some of my teammates around, and they were like, "Oh my gosh!" And I was like, "Yeah, guys, That's it.
Crazy.
The head
Yeah,
the head went huge after that. I
way
was like,
big.
"Yeah, guys, watch out."
Yeah, for sure.
Matt, thanks for your time, man. This was fun. Hopefully, I kind of like this format. It's a little bit better than me just talking about all the traits. So maybe, hopefully, we can do this again in the future.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, and really quick, I just want to say RIP to the men's national soccer team.
Dude,
Brutal loss to
don't
Panama. Tim Weah
don't get me started.
punching a dude and getting sent off. I mean, you're talking about, and with the manager stuff, everyone's like, oh, formations, whatever. I think undisciplined teams, it's always on the coach. And USA was tremendously undisciplined, honestly, in both games. They were
Yeah,
fortunate they played a bad team in the first game in Bolivia. So
yeah,
need a big game against Uruguay
they're
on
good.
Monday,
They
4
beat
p.m. Eastern.
they
They're
beat
really good, really good.
they,
So
they beat Bolivia like 5-0 last night. So
yeah, they smoked them. So
yeah,
it's gonna be tough. But yeah, no, appreciate having me on.
of course, dude. Always, always. That's my guy, Matt Murphy, the one and only brother of Jake Paul. Not really, but that always gets thrown around in the chat, man. As soon as you
Crazy,
come
bro.
off, they're like,
Crazy.
it's Jake Paul's brother. I'm like, all
Chat
right,
hates me.
guys.
The chat does not like me. That's all right, chat. Well, I love you anyway. I love
There
you
you go.
anyway.
Of
Hey, thanks for having me on, John.
course, man. See ya. That's my guy, Matt Murphy. Smart, just basketball guy, just a great friend in general, joining me to draft the best white athlete descriptors. When we come back here in a few minutes, we're going to get into the Pacers draft picks. None of those descriptors thrown out for any of these Pacers guys, but we're going to talk about them anyway. That's coming up here in about 4 minutes.
On a mission to protect free speech, Rumble is one of the only video sharing platforms where you can watch genuine content for free. Rumble is available on desktop, mobile, and connected TV, featuring bold, influential voices. Rumble gives you the freedom to be entertained with exclusive creators, action-packed sports, lively debates, and more. And now you can cut cable. Download the Rumble TV apps and watch independent media on the big screen. Creators such as Steven Crowder at 10 a.m. Monday through Thursday, Kimberly Guilfoyle at 4 p.m. Eastern Mondays and Thursdays, Glenn Greenwald at 7 p.m. Eastern Monday through Friday, and Don Jr. at 6 p.m. Eastern Mondays and Thursdays. Rumble is the place to find authentic expression from creators, a place where we do not censor, but rather believe that everyone should benefit from access to a network full of more ideas, diverse opinions, and dialogue. Join Rumble, where people are given the freedom to be entertained by exclusive content from creators who are empowered to express themselves freely. Visit rumble.com or download the app and watch for free.
unadulterated sports talk with unfiltered takes. It's the real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM and 99.5 HD2.
What's going on? The real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. Just had my guy Matt Murphy on. We drafted our favorite white athlete descriptors. That video will be out on the YouTube channel later on today. So if you missed it, you can go back and you can watch that. Had a great time. Had an absolute blast. I appreciate the chat. Throwing in many, many options. If you want to join the fantastic YouTube chat, just head over to YouTube, search for Indy Sports Ticket, and you can join right into that thing. Now, the Pacers have a few new faces joining their team. They drafted 3 players yesterday in the second round. They took Johnny Furphy with the 35th overall pick, Tristan Newton with the 49th pick, and Enrique Freeman at the 50th pick. Johnny Furphy is a 19-year-old, 6'8" wing out of Kansas. Furphy's not my favorite player in the world. Okay. When I got on Twitter, though, after the pick, all the draft heads, all the quote-unquote experts, everybody was, freaking out and excited that the Pacers drafted him. But I just felt like there were better options available. Players that could have stepped in and helped the Pacers immediately. Someone like Cameron Christie, was still on the board. But still, Pacers took Johnny Furphy, and Kevin Pritchard has given us no reason whatsoever to doubt him as of late. Okay, especially when it comes to second-round picks. Okay, like Ben Shepherd and Andrew Nimhard were both second-round picks that contributed in major ways to the Pacers' Eastern Conference Finals runs. Okay, they've been influential, they've been important, and so because the Pacers have done such a good job in the second round these past couple of years, like you have to give them the benefit of the doubt of I'm sure Furphy's going to be a good player. Tristan Newton may break the lineup at some point. Enrique Freeman could be a piece down the road. We'll kind of see. So with that being said, Furphy, 6'8", supposed to be a great shooter, but he only shot 35% from 3 last year. He's also only 19. So he's going to get better. He's decently athletic. Seems like he has good touch and all those things. My concern with Furphy is I've got some questions on the defensive side of the ball. Okay, there are definitely games where he looks like he's a decent defender. But then the Baylor game really sticks out for me. They played Baylor late in the year, and Baylor just took turns going at Johnny Furphy. He couldn't guard the ball. Okay, and the Pacers need players that can guard the ball. That Baylor game got so bad that they pulled him out early in the second half, and they didn't put him back in. Okay, they were just once again, they were just taking turns going at Furphy. And I get that he's 19. I understand that he's going to develop some down the road. But ultimately, I don't know, I just you just made a run to the Eastern Conference Finals, Pacers. Can we get a player that can help us immediately, that can help us right now? I get that that's kind of what free agency is for, but it seemed to me they could have grabbed a player that could maybe crack the lineup this year and would really help, not someone who's going to spend a bunch of time in Fort Wayne playing for the Mad Ants. But I will say that addressing players that could come in immediately happened later on in the second round for the Pacers, with them drafting Tristan Newton and Enrique Freeman. Tristan Newton is 23. He's a 6'3" guard out of UConn. Older players typically contribute earlier, right? So maybe Newton is the guy that they expect to be able to fill some sort of role for the Pacers almost immediately. The issue with him is he's not a very good shooter. He only shot 32% from 3, shot 80% from the free throw line. So there's some upside with the shooting. Okay. That's something that these general managers look at if he can make free throws, and that means he has good base and the touch is there and all those things. They just have to expand it to, 25 feet away from the basket or whatever it is. So the shooting is a concern and a reason as to why Tristan Newton would not be able to get onto the floor for the Pacers, because the Pacers want big, long, athletic dudes who can shoot the basketball. And Tristan Newton just doesn't seem like he's good enough of a shooter. I will say, though, Tristan Newton plays, it's going to be because he can get in a stance and he can defend. That's what he did so well at UConn. He is a great defender. No way around it. And that is something that he should be able to do for the Pacers. And that is something that the Pacers desperately need. They need players alongside Tyrese Halliburton that can defend, because to work your way through the Eastern Conference, you've got to play Jalen Brunson. Okay, like you got to play Drew Holiday and Derek White, like two guards that can get downhill and go score. Okay, like you got to play Cleveland potentially. Like you have to deal with Donovan Mitchell who can get downhill and go score. And so because of that, like you need a legitimate good defender alongside Halliburton. And Tristan Newton checks that box. Okay, but there's another issue in that he's a guard. And it's like, who do you take minutes away from for him to find the floor? Because you're not going to pull minutes away from Halliburton, which means you're going to take minutes away from Nimhard, who was great during the playoffs, or you're going to take minutes away from TJ McConnell, who was great all year, regular season and playoffs. So it's like, who do you pull minutes away from there? So with that being said, like I've got some questions as to how he's going to break into the rotation. But at the same time, I don't think that teams draft 23-year-olds unless they think that they're going to have some sort of opportunity to play, right? Like you draft guys like Johnny Furphy. It's like we're fine if he doesn't play for a year and a half as he, develops and we help him become a better defender and the shot continues to develop. So going to be interesting to see what they do with Tristan Newton. And then finally, Enrique Freeman. He was the Pacers' final pick yesterday. They took him 50th overall. He's a 24-year-old, 6'7" forward out of Akron. I am excited for him. He's got one of the best stories in the NBA draft. He showed up to walk-on tryouts at Akron and made the team. Okay, from there, he obviously developed into an NBA prospect. He's got a pretty well-rounded game. He checks a lot of boxes. He screened a lot. He posted up a decent amount. He shot 37% from three. He rebounded the crap out of the ball, 13 rebounds a game. Also averaged, 19 points as he was the MAC player of the year. He's clearly a talented, well-rounded player on the offensive end. I just don't know if he's going to shoot well enough for the Pacers to play him immediately. It's like, yes, I know he shot 37% from three, but he only took 54 threes this last year. Same thing with Newton. Defensively, he checks the boxes. He's tall, 6'7", and he's long, 7'2" wingspan. That length is part of why he rebounded so well. He's mobile, played a lot of small ball center at Akron, so he can defend bigger players. If you look at him, like he's pretty stout. Like he clearly lifts weights, you know what I mean? So he can defend these bigger guys because of his length and how strong he is. And the other thing is that teams go small and play small ball center so that they can switch. And because of that, like he had to defend smaller guards as well. He's versatile on the defensive end. He's a competitor who loves basketball. You can say, Jonathan, you don't know him, so how do you know that Enrique Freeman is a competitor who loves basketball? I know that because he showed up to try out and walk on at Akron. Okay? Like it wasn't like he was trying to make Kentucky's team or Duke's team, right? Like you don't try to walk on at Akron unless you have a legitimate love for basketball. And you don't try to walk on at Akron unless you are legitimately competitive, right? And like I said, love to play basketball. So Enrique Freeman, excited for him. This team's going to be a lot of fun to watch. At Summer League, Jarris Walker is going to play in the Summer League. I don't know when that starts. Let me actually look that up real quick. Because like I said, like this Pacers team, like there's a lot of young players that can really play. The first game is set for Saturday, July 6th. Lakers, Kings. That's going to be actually a lot of fun. We're going to get to see Bronny, and that's going to be really interesting. So yeah, that starts on July 6th. Can't wait for that. I think that is the California only one where it's like the Kings, the Lakers, and who's the other team? And like the Clippers and the Warriors. I think it's only those teams, and the real one in Vegas starts a little bit later. But either way, can't wait for that. Love basketball. Love seeing these young guys get out on the floor and play. Watching this Pacers team is going to be a lot of fun once again. NBA draft wrapped up yesterday. And I expected that my lead draft story for today would be the Pacers and who they took, and Bronny James going 55th overall. That is not the case, though. I'm going to talk about the biggest draft story after round 2 yesterday when we come back here in 4 minutes.
More winners, more often. It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy's Sports Ticket, 1430 AM and 99.5 HD2.
What's going on? The Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. Hope you're having just a great day. Wrapping up the show here. I have to talk about the biggest, weirdest, most surprising story coming out of day 2 of the NBA draft. First and foremost, we're going to do 2 days of the NBA draft. First off, let's just not do that anymore, okay? But also, if you're going to have a second day, maybe don't start it at 4 o'clock, especially when the most anticipated second-round pick in the history of the NBA got drafted yesterday. Like why? Like, let's start it at 7. Let's start it at 6 so that people can actually, get home from work and watch. And then let's move from there, okay? Now, I had a good buddy of mine, just knows a lot about basketball, writes about the Memphis Grizzlies, had him on yesterday to talk Zach Edey, headed to Memphis. What's his role going to look like? You can find that podcast. Just go to wherever you get your podcast and search for The Real Jonathan Smith Show, or you can head over to the YouTube page and just rewatch yesterday's show. He came on, and at the end, we were talking about the Pacers, and he suggested that the Pacers should trade up to draft Kyle Filipowski. I am so glad that did not happen, because on a day where I thought I'd be talking about the Pacers draft picks and Bronny James, I'm talking about Filipowski because there's a story going around about him that is absolutely nuts. He was supposed to be a guy who got drafted in the first round, and he fell into the second round because of this story. Kyle Filipowski's girlfriend is 7 years older than him, which isn't, super weird. Is it a little bit? Yeah. I mean, he's 20 and she's like 27. Is that a little weird? Yes, I would say so. But what makes it weird is that Kyle Filipowski's girlfriend used to be his babysitter, which is really weird. Like, that's a little creepy, okay? And it gets worse. Apparently, Kyle Filipowski's girlfriend made him cut off his family. Okay, Kyle's brother went to Twitter yesterday and stated that his girlfriend made him cut his family off 2 years ago when he left for Duke. Apparently, Kyle Filipowski sent them, quote, he sent them an email and everything, basically a goodbye letter, end quote. That's nuts. That is insane. It's crazy. Seriously, the whole story is nuts, and there are other parts of the story being discussed. I don't know if these parts are true or not. So I want to say that up front. But here's what the rumor mill is churning out. The rumor mill's been working hard these past 24 hours. Apparently, Filipowski's girlfriend could be his cousin, which I don't entirely rule out because she went to Alabama. She graduated from there in 2018. Okay, so that's a legit possibility. And then the other part of it is that people are saying that she groomed him with the intention of getting him to become a Mormon, and she's a Mormon. Got to be honest. If they ended up in the perfect spot. They're going to Utah to play for the Jazz. So, that's going to happen. The whole thing is insane, and it's wild. Otter Creek, you're exactly right. He said, quote, what a beta. Couldn't agree more. And as I was, going deep into these Twitter threads, and I'm reading other articles, trying to figure out, what's true, what's not true, and all that. I'm sitting there, I'm processing through it, and I'm like, this story reminds me of Laramie Tunsil. The Bong video from several years ago. If you don't remember, Laramie Tunsil was a prominent first-round pick in the NFL draft, was expected to go number 1 or number 2 overall, dominant offensive tackle coming out of Ole Miss. And the day that he's supposed to get drafted, someone leaks this video of him wearing a bong, taking it off, he's smoking, whatever. And the video came out on draft day, and he fell because of it. And this Kyle Filipowski story came out on draft day, and he fell because of it. The Tunsil video led to him dropping from a potential 2nd overall pick to the 13th overall pick. Kyle Filipowski fell from the first round, probably going to go late teens, early 20s, to the second round. Okay? It's incredible. And part of me feels bad for the guy, but the other part of me is you kind of did this to yourself. I do not blame teams in the slightest for passing on Kyle Filipowski. This whole situation shows bad judgment. Okay? If he can't figure out that cutting off his entire family for a girl that used to be his babysitter is not a good idea, then how can he read a pick and roll? Like how is he going to judge it, NBA defenses? How is he going to judge where he should be on defense? Okay, like if he has poor judgment, then like that's concerning. And I think that teams don't want to draft guys that have poor judgment and have drama swirling around them, because that is what's going on with Filipowski right now. He has drama swirling around him, and not just like normal, like everyday drama. Okay. Like it's like legit intense family drama, and like family drama is never fun. Okay. And it seems like it impacts everyone around them. Okay. Like family drama just kind of like seeps into your soul, and then like, it can cause you to snap at people. And like, I know people, when it gets around Thanksgiving time, I'm like, I don't want to hang out with them, because we're a week away from Thanksgiving, and all they're doing is thinking about how badly they don't want to go home for Thanksgiving. They resent it for whatever reason. And like family stuff can be tough, and it's not fun to deal with. And like when it's that kind of drama, like if I'm a team, I don't want that anywhere near my locker room. And when we look at Filipowski, like he's got a lot of drama like around him right now. And that's not fun for anybody. It's not. And so when it comes to Filipowski, I'm so surprised that this is what is going on. Like like I said, I came into today or yesterday, I was sitting around, I was like, okay, like probably talking Bronny, probably talking about whoever the Pacers take. And I am going to talk Bronny, but this Filipowski story it came out of left field, and I'm intrigued. I'm interested to see what happens next, because if any reporter is worth their salt, like they have to ask him about it at some point, and it's going to be interesting to hear him speak on just everything that has taken place over these past couple of years. Now let's move to the Lakers, because the Lakers took Bronny James with the 55th overall pick. And even though it's not a surprise, people are upset. And, that's fine. Whatever. You're allowed to be upset about, whatever you want, I guess. But look, if Thanasis Antetokounmpo, I said this yesterday on Dan's show, if Thanasis Antetokounmpo can sit at the end of the Milwaukee Bucks bench for 6 years because Giannis wants him to, then Bronny James can be drafted by the Lakers because LeBron James wants him to. Okay? If J.R. Smith can get his brother, Chris Smith, signed by the Knicks, then Bronny James can be drafted by the Lakers in one of the worst drafts we have ever seen. There should be no issue with this whatsoever. It's not like they took him with, it's not like they took him in the first round. Like they took him 55th overall. Most players, not all of them, most players that are drafted in the second round don't make it. Okay, they don't. Like a lot of those guys, they wind up fighting in the G League for a long time, and then they go overseas and they do whatever. Okay, and like when it comes to being picked 55th, like the expectations are so low. Like obviously there are players that have been drafted later in the second round that have like found success. Like there are exceptions to this. Like Manu Ginobili was taken 57th overall. He had a pretty good career. Kyle Korver was taken like 54th. Fred Hoiberg was taken like 52nd by the Pacers. He played in the league for 10 years. But the vast majority of these late second round picks do not even make an NBA roster. So there should be no issue whatsoever of taking Bronny James 55th overall. Okay, like he's probably going to play in the G League. They'll put him on a 2-way contract. Right, so he'll play in the G League, and then he'll come up for Laker games, and he'll play if they're up, by 30 with a minute left. Okay, like that's what's going to happen, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, and especially when you think about like Bronny James compared to these other guys that were still on the board, it's like those other guys, older players, you kind of know what they are. Whereas like with Bronny James, it's like this kid's 19, didn't have any offseason to prepare for his freshman year at USC. And like, even though he had no time to prepare, he still cracked the rotation. He still defended well. Like he still did some good things, but it's easy to make excuses for why he didn't play well. And July 6th, Bronny James plays in his first summer league game. I'm going to be tuned into it. I think everyone else is going to be tuned into it. Can't wait. That is appointment television for me. Just like how 3:30 Sunday, I have another appointment television game that I'm going to watch. Sunday, 3:30. This is a game that I have circled since the Indiana Fever drafted Caitlin Clark. Everyone has been tuned into Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese games. All right. And they should be, because there's obviously a story there. There's a rivalry there, all those things. Those events have been great. But the Fever playing the Mercury is what I've been looking forward to. This is the thing that I've wanted to watch. Okay, that happens this weekend, Sunday at 3:30. And if you're asking, Jonathan, why do you care about them playing the Mercury? Like, it's because that's who Diana Taurasi plays for. And if you don't remember, Diana Taurasi does not like Caitlin Clark. Okay, like the WNBA has kind of moved away from some of the pettiness, which is cool. But it could come back after this game. Wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. And if you're wondering why I say that, here is a flashback to what Diana Taurasi said about Caitlin Clark after she lost the national championship game to South Carolina before she even got drafted.
Look, SVP, reality is coming.
Okay.
There's levels to this thing, and that's just life. We all went through it.
Of course.
And you see it on the NBA side, and you're going to see it on this side, where you look superhuman playing against 18-year-olds, but you're going to come with some grown women that have been playing professional basketball for a long time. Not saying that it's not going to translate, because when you're great at what you do, you're just going to get better. But there is going to be a transition period where you're going to have to give yourself some grace as a rookie, and it might take a little bit longer for some people.
That was Diana Taurasi talking about Caitlin Clark before she even got drafted. And what she said is partially true. Caitlin Clark had a couple rough games throughout the season where she struggled with turnovers and she hasn't made shots in those things. But look, after the first 10 games, Caitlin Clark became a much more consistent player. Like, pencil her down for 15, 5, and 5 every night. Like, that's just kind of who she is at this point. She's far and away the best rookie in the WNBA, despite being defended like she's one of the best players in the league, and she is one of the best players in the league. So she's starting to shoot the ball better. Teammates are learning to always be ready for the ball, because Caitlin Clark is one of the best passers in the WNBA. She's 4th in assists per game, 15th in points per game. She's doing it on the defensive side of the ball as well. 15th in steals, 16th in blocks. Like, she's playing well. And I think a lot of people are looking forward to this game on Sunday. And Diana Taurasi was asked about it. Like, are you looking forward to playing against Caitlin Clark for the first time on Sunday? And here's what she had to say.
Your thoughts going into facing Caitlin Clark for the first time on Sunday?
Yeah, it'll be fun.
That's it. That's all she had to say. Like, nothing nice came out of her mouth. And with that being said, like, I don't expect for Diana Taurasi to wax poetic about Caitlin Clark for like 10 minutes. Okay, like, that would be ridiculous, because like, they are competitors, and there is this kind of competitive thing where it's like, I'm not going to talk too nice about you. Like I hope I kicked your butt on Sunday. But, she could have been like, yeah, she's had a good year so far. I'm looking forward to playing her for the first time. I'm glad that she's bringing this many viewers to our game. But there's some jealousy there, right? Because, like, I'm sure there's a large part of Taurasi who's kind of like the LeBron James of the WNBA, from my understanding, has had a lot of success and has been in the league a long time. She's like 42. I'm sure there's a part of her that's like, I want people to watch me. Like this, like, Caitlin Clark's not that great. I was better than her, because that's just naturally what competitors think. And that's the thing about the NBA that I find so fascinating. Like, when LeBron gets asked about Wemby or any of these other former number 1 overall picks, he always says at least a couple nice things about them. It's like, yeah, man, like, this Wemby dude, he's a freak. He's handling all the pressure well of being a number 1 overall pick, and yada, yada, yada. And then he goes out, and then LeBron kills him, because that's just what he does. And Taurasi, like, I just don't understand why she couldn't have done that. Like, I get that you're competitors in those things, but come on now. Don't look petty. Don't come across, or, well, she did come across hateful and jealous and petty. And that is, I don't know. I'm not going to say it's the worst thing in the world, because, when there's pettiness involved in the WNBA, people like me tend to talk about it a lot, but we'll see. I'm ready for Sunday. That game's at 3:30. Fever are coming off of a loss. They lost by 12 last night to the Seattle Storm, like 89-77. Got to defend better. Okay. If you give up 89 points and you allow your opponent's best player to score 34, like, you're not going to win very many games. So, got to defend better. Excited to watch them play the Mercury on Sunday, who are 8-8. Fever looking to close out this important 9-game stretch strong. They're currently 5-3, looking to finish it at 6-3. That's going to do it for the Real Jonathan Smith Show. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back again on Monday from noon to 3. Dan has a great show in store. Lynn Dunn at 1. Jason Benetti at 1:30. Should be an absolute blast. His show is coming up, and it starts here in about 5 minutes.